Faith was like, I don't even like this song. Why are we doing a song? The song is for Mary. It's not catered to my voice. The song is catered for a Mary J. Blige voice. And then when she had to do the remake without Mary, she was like, ugh, this is even worse.
I don't hear nobody out there. Hold it down. Hold it down.
I be looking all disheveled on camera because Saturday be my day off and I like to just lounge around on Saturday. You know, I'm in the medical field. So if any of you in the medical field, you know that motherfucker wears you out and you always seize the day that you can just lay around and be lazy. Okay, but you know I enjoy giving you the books because I know that you all enjoy receiving these books. So forgive me if I'm not always on camera or looking my best on camera. I can't remember the last time I got dressed up to get in front of the goddamn camera. Hell, it had to be right when I started working, and that's been months ago. Let's get to, what is this? Faith Evans. Keep the faith. There was nothing left to say. So of course we had sex for the rest of the afternoon. But for me, it wasn't like the emotional and passionate nights we shared over the past year. It felt more like closure. I loved Big, and I knew I always would. But that afternoon, as we lay in bed together, I felt like a chapter of my life was closing forever. I was going to live my life alone if necessary. And if Big wanted to fuck the entire world, that was on him. Miss Evans, said the receptionist at the Millennium Hotel in Times Square, you have an outstanding balance of $742. I can't rent you a new room until you pay the balance. Okay, I'll be right back, I said, knowing that I wouldn't. While Big and the rest of Bad Boy were on tour, I continued bouncing from one hotel to the other, dragging China and my 2 hockey bags filled with all my worldly possessions. I would leave her with my grandparents in Newark to do a show and then pick her up and find a new hotel to stay in for another week or so. My life was scattered and I had no focus. I was just barely keeping up with the daily grind and had no idea what the future would bring. For those who want to be judgmental in this moment while we're reading, I want you all to think back when you were in your early 20s. It's funny how I can remember the 70s, the 80s, my teenage years. But y'all, I swear to God, in my college years, everything is a blur. And it's because I was so all over the place. Like 1995, 96, I was just getting into the lifestyle, okay? And man, I was having so much fun during that time. I'm telling you, it was like a blur. All right. And I ain't even do drugs then. I might have drank a beer or two, but I wasn't even doing drugs. My little sister, who I was taking care of just about her whole early childhood, was now a preteen teenager, and she could take care of herself. So the restraints that my mother put on me through my sister in regards to where I could go, where I couldn't go, were no longer there. I could leave. If I wanted to spend the night out, I could, because my sister could stay in the house alone by herself. She was like 13, 14 years old, and she wasn't me, so I really didn't have to worry about her bringing niggas to the house. My sister's so mean. She don't want no ninjas in her face. So those constraints were not there. This was the first time in my life that I was able to be free. I was in college. I had my first car. Bad boy entertainment was in full effect. I was just becoming aware of my sexuality and wanting to deal with women. That was like mid 90s, late 90s. In the early 90s, I told y'all I didn't realize that I was attractive until I got to college and I started getting so much attention for just being me and not being considered just average. In the early 90s, college years, I can't remember none of that. Maybe some little speckles here and there, but for the most part, my life was a blur. Am I the only person? Because my memory really doesn't pick back up until probably I hit my 30s, maybe? I was making money, but I didn't always have cash in hand. So I'd run up a bill at one hotel and then have to check into a different one if I didn't have the money to pay it. I came by the apartment where 112 was, staying one evening, and cooked dinner for them. I was cleaning up and talking to Q, one of the members of the group I was closest to. Q, I might need to chill here for a minute, I said. Ma, that's no question, he said. Do what you gotta do. Q cleared it with their road manager, Bear, who always lived there. Bear was gracious and told me I was always welcome. That night, China and I slept on the pull-out sofa in their apartment. For once, I wasn't lugging my hockey bags, and I was grateful. I asked the guys from 112 if I could leave my stuff there as a temporary home base while I got myself together. Don't be judgmental. I really wish that I had the money sense that Faith did, or does. While she was staying in the hotel, when she first left Big, she saw a building being built over yonder. And she had made up her mind that she was going to check that building out and get her money together to live there. She sacrificed housing so that she could eventually move into that building. The guys were all cool about it. Now keep in mind, it was only a 2-bedroom apartment, and there were 4 of them, and the apartment wasn't that big, but they didn't hesitate to let me stay there when I needed to. I will always have love for them for that. Although I didn't spend the night at 112's apartment all the time, I did keep my hockey bags there. And if someone needed to get in touch with me, they could leave messages for me there. When I wasn't out of town doing a show, I was camping out at their place. In return, I cooked for the boys whenever I was in town. A few times Big called the apartment for me. It's Big, Q would say, covering up the mouthpiece. Tell him I'm not here, I'd whisper. Sometimes Big would catch me if I answered the phone. What up, Faye? He'd say. Hey, what's up? I'd keep my voice as level as I could. You supposed to be out here on tour, he'd say. Where you at? Nah, I'm good on that, I'd say. Because I told you that goddamn Faith was like, I'm not going out there to be on tour. I don't care how big the tour is. Why would I tour with them and I got bills to pay? No, I'll stay over here doing my little venues and make my money. Answer no, B. And then I got a call from Kirk Burrows, the general manager at Bad Boy, that really took me over the edge and made me feel like I wanted nothing to do with Puff or anyone else on that tour. We have a problem with your album, said Kirk. What is it? The song you did with Mary? We have to take her vocals off it. I had been standing in the kitchen at 112's apartment preparing to make a pan of lasagna when I heard this. I went into the living room and sat down hard on the couch. What do you mean? The album is already out. I've sold 500,000 copies. Kirk sighed heavily into the phone. When we press up the next batch of records, it has to have a new version of the song on it without Mary's vocals. I thought about how Mary had ignored me at the Source Awards and wondered if that had something to do with it. I don't understand. You need to talk to Mary. I need to talk to Mary? I don't need to say shit to Murray. I didn't do anything to her. Pause. That's my way of thinking in life. If I ain't done shit to you, why you so mad for? Don't take that shit out on me. Come to find out, Mary J. and Puffy were having their issues. Remember when Mary fell out with Puffy? And then Mary came out later and was like, I was being a spoiled brat. I want Puffy's attention all to me. Some of you ladies, y'all gotta talk. You gotta talk. I get in trouble a lot of times for voicing my opinion, but I would rather voice my opinion and say what I feel and a person corrects me than for me to internalize my negative thoughts and then I'm treating a person a certain way because I believe that what they're doing is a dig at me. This is what, according to the book, Faith said happened as to why Mary no longer wanted her vocals on that Love Don't Live Here Anymore song that Faith didn't really like any damn way. I asked around and no one would give me a straight answer. And before we move forward, remember, Faith was like, I don't even like this song. Why are we doing a song? The song is for Mary. It's not catered to my voice. The song is catered for a Mary J. Blige voice, not a goddamn Faith Evans voice. And then when she had to do the remake, she was like, ugh, this is even worse. I asked around and no one would give me a straight answer. One person told me that Mary and Puff had a disagreement about money and how much he was getting off her album as a producer, and that she ordered him to take her vocals off my album as a result. See, this is the bullshit. Faith wasn't nothing but a casualty in Puff and Mary's war. Now ain't got shit to do with me. You mad at him. You ain't mad at me. So how you get back at him is to sacrifice me? Oh no. See, that's the bullshit. Someone else told me that she felt like Puff was trying to mold me in her image. That sounds crazy. Because, no, I mean, they both from New Jersey, but they're two different kinds of singers. How is that possible? Like a delicate, sweet and gentle flower growing wild from New Jersey. A rose through the concrete jungle. That's what Faith is. And then people started speculating on why Puff had hired me to work on Mary's album. I went into the studio and re-recorded the song without Mary's voice, and I didn't like it at all. Even when we did the duet after several rounds of tequila, I thought Mary's voice was better suited to the song. And now that it was just me on the song, I liked it even less. I would end up not earning any royalties on the album for over 10 years until the record label was able to recoup all the cost of re-recording and pressing up new copies of the album and removing and destroying all the copies with Mary's vocals. But at the time, I had no time to dwell on the Murray situation. I was becoming more and more in demand as a songwriter. I worked with Heavy D, Monifa, Soul For Real, and other artists. I was charging between $5,000 and $7,000 per song as a writer's fee, and I charged more if I was to appear on the song. See what I mean, Faith? You the only bitch getting to the money on Bad Boy. In an attempt to take control of my career, I started talking to Queen Latifah and her partner, Shakim Kampir, about letting their company, Flavor Unit, manage my career. I'd met Shakim through my attorney, Stuart Levy, who represented him, and although nothing had officially been signed, they were helping me to secure writing gigs in a few shows. Before long, I had saved enough money to move my hockey bags from the apartment 112 shared into my own place. I decided that China would now be living with me full time. My friend Roz agreed to travel with me to care for China if I needed to go on the road. I appreciated my family keeping her when I was traveling or whenever I needed to get things done. But I was starting a whole new way of life, and I didn't want to leave her with anyone unless I had to. She would no longer split her time. China was going to live with me all the time. I was saying, God damn, I would love to see Faith on tour. But somebody had contacted me and say, well, nay, Faith rarely goes on tour because she chooses to be a mother. And I think her youngest child is autistic. And when you have a child with special needs, sometimes you need to dedicate your life to your child, especially if you want your child to be the best child that it can be. You know, like if they won't be what is considered a regular child, you know, air quotes, but if you have a present mom, they will definitely be the best child that they can be. And if you're a present mother, I mean, the sky's the limit. Once we both left the apartment in Brooklyn and set up our own separate households, I was only in touch with Big very sporadically. A few times when I was staying with 112, he was able to reach me on the phone. I always kept the conversation as brief as I could. But of course, we were still married and had business and personal affairs to take care of. I called him once at the house in Teaneck, and a woman answered the phone.
Hey, do my favorite go-go song. Taking a ride on the east side, made a left on MLK. What a beautiful day, what a beautiful day. Riding high on the west side, looking for a hood rat to play. Won't you come out and play? Won't you come out and play? Hey, taking a ride. Hey, hey, on the south side. Ooh, ooh. Hey, hey, hey. We like that good.